Hello, thank you so much for joining this video tutorial. This video tutorial will show you step by step how to do the data-driven testing using UFT from scratch. UFT here stands for Unified Functional Testing. This is the first lesson, lesson 0. In this lesson, I will give you an overview of data-driven testing so that you get the end-to-end flow of data-driven testing using UFT. Who is this tutorial for? This tutorial is for beginners who would like to learn how to do the data-driven testing using UFT. Prerequisite, basic UFT knowledge. You don't have any UFT knowledge, you should be okay. Today's lesson is divided into two parts, mainly DDT and DDT example. DDT here stands for data-driven testing, and in this part we'll talk about what is DDT, what are the data sources, what are the advantages, and the flow, design time and run time. For DDT example, I will give you a demo of data-driven testing so you get the bigger picture. So let's talk about the first part. What is DDT? DDT again stands for data-driven testing, which allows us to run the same automation test script multiple times with the different sets of test data, which can be stored in data sources. DDT mainly helps us to reduce the number of automation test scripts by separating the test data from the automation test scripts. Data sources. What are the data sources can we use? Some of them I listed here. Microsoft Excel, CSV, UFT data table, database. This tutorial is for beginners, so I thought UFT data table would be a good place to start. So in this tutorial, I will use UFT data table as the data source. Next is advantages. What are the advantages can we get from data-driven testing? I see many, but here I listed top 3. Reusability, separation of test logic from the test data, reduction of the number of the automation test scripts. If I create a script that is enhanced for data-driven testing, I can run the script definitely as many times as I like with the different sets of test data, each time to ensure that application handles various inputs effectively. Increasing reusability will definitely help us to add values to the business. Separation of test logic from the test data. So one person can work in the data layer, another person can work in the test logic, test script layer, or the same person can work in the both layers. As an example, if I wanted to run a script with different sets of test data, I can just prepare the test data in data source and then run the script without modifying the test scripts. Another example would be, if I do not want to run a script for a specific data set, I can just remove the data set from the data source without touching the script. It just helps us to work in a data layer without modifying the script, so we can secure our scripts. Reduction of the number of the automation test scripts. If I create modular scripts which rely on external data sources for test data, it definitely will help us to reduce the number of the automation test scripts. When we reduce the number of the automation test scripts, it will definitely reduce the time and cost. That means that more ROI, return on investment. So I got advantages, some understanding of it. Now the design time and runtime flow. Design time, runtime flow would be here. For design time, question is, what are the tasks and what order should I be doing the tasks so that I can run my scripts during regression testing. So I came up with these top three in this order. Create an automation test script with hard-coded data by recording. So I can create my automation test scripts by recording and identify my test data. And script will have hard-coded data. And then 2 is B, create a separate data source. So that I can create a separate data source right here, step 2. And then 3, replace the hard-coded values of the script by pointing to the data source. That means that script that I created, I'm going to remove the hard-coded values and point the script to this data source to retrieve the test data. Once the design time is done, then we can do the runtime. So runtime flow is simply what are the tasks, what steps should I be doing so that I can run my scripts during regression testing. So precondition of runtime is design time tasks are done. So once the design time tasks are done and we are ready for regression testing, we can follow this. Open an automation test script which is pointing to the data source and run the script. During runtime, UFT will retrieve the test data from the data source right here and enter the test data in the application here. Verify the test results. So UFT will do this for the first iteration. Once it's done, it will continue testing with the next set of input data, during next iteration. So now that I have some understanding of what is data-driven testing, what are the data sources, what are the advantages and the process flow, let's dive into an example of data-driven testing so that we get the bigger picture. So very first, let's open this application. Okay, application is already open. So let me zoom it so you can see it clear. That's the application. As part of the demo, I will just complete the login process. When we go to this page, visit this page, first thing is we see this page and then enter username to log in and password. Click sign in. Once I click sign in, we get this page and then we can just simply click sign off to log out and click home. That's not required. You can just then close the browser. Let's just close the browser. So as part, very first, actually I skip a little bit. I should be reading this first before you understand. First one is to application under test, just to understand how the login works. So I did, but here it shows the flow. We go to the home page, enter username, password, click sign in. It takes us to Flight Finder page. So find a flight page, which is actually the home page. It takes us to Flight Finder page in order to log in. So now that I understand login, why not I write a test case for that? So test case would be simple. Navigate to this page, enter username, enter password, click sign in, click sign off, and then exit, close the browser. So I understand login process and I did write the test case. Why not I create automation test scripts by recording. So in order to do that, what I can do here, let me go to editor here. So let's click this. So I can just zoom it. Okay, so that's a record button right here. We're going to just click the record button. Click record. So while we are in the recording mode, open the Chrome, go to the application, and then what we are going to do, complete the login process. Enter username, enter password, then click sign in. After that, I know we can do a lot of validations, but we will not go into that route right now. Just want to click sign off link, and after that, close the browser. So I like to do this. So what I did, I just modified this script a little bit. I just said that you can ignore what was before. So system.ut.run, I wanted to open in Chrome, and then that's my application. So I like to save this. So I saved the script. So after I saved the script, let me go back to the document. So what I did, create an automation script by recording. I did that. Execute the script and then analyze the test result. So before I execute it, I like to go over the script, what the script is doing. This is the first step, is opening up the application in Chrome. This is the second step, is entering the username. This is the third step, is entering the password. This is the fourth step, click sign in. And that's the last step, click sign off. Actually, I have one more step. For some reason, it did not add the last step for me when I close the browser. So let's add last step. So I close the browser. Okay, so next thing I like to do is execute, number 4, execute the script and then analyze the test results. To execute, I just wanted to click the run button right here that you see, that run, click run. Before I click run, I want to zoom it back to 100. Just want to make sure that it works. Click run. See if it works. So it entered username, password. Click sign off. Close the browser. It worked. So now let us analyze the test result. The result, before we analyze, let's click view, expand all. Let's see the data steps. Username, it can see entered what we see in the script. You see step number 2. So, and the password, see same as the script on step number 3. So this is a script we generated by recording. This script has hard-coded data. Every time we run this script, every time same data will be used, and we do not want that. We want to run a script with different sets of data so that we can run a script with different sets of data so that each time we can ensure that application behaves correctly with the different sets of data as well. So now, let me zoom back. So we finished part 4. Let us do part 5 now. Create a data source. So now I like to create a data source. Let's open UFT. That's fine. Script. I know that I need my script needs only data for username and password. So what I like to do is that I like to add one column for username, another column for password. So go to data table. That's my data table. I'm going to double click column header, and then it's going to ask me to give a name of the column. I said username, then double click column header B, and then enter this password. So double click here, enter data, some data, dummy data. That's my first data set, and that's my second data set. Save this script and the data source. So what we did, we created a data source with some dummy data. And what's next? Number 6, modify the script. What do I mean by modify the script? At this point, as of right now, you can see script still has hard-coded data, and we do not want that. Script still has hard-coded data. We do not want that. We wanted to remove this hard-coded data and point to this data source right here that we just created. So how can we modify the script to do that? So what we can do first, go to view, open up the keyword view here. So we can see the script in a different view. And then after that, first we know we are dealing with username here. So let's click that, click this icon. We just click the value cell, click this icon right here. And then data table. This is username step. So we'll be clicking username. Now you expand this, you will notice that hard-coded value is replaced by pointing to this data source. This is a reference. Reference says data table. Reference says data table. Go to data table, go to global sheet, and go to username column. So let's do the same thing for the password field. Data table, click password. So we have removed both hard-coded values for username and password, and then point these values to these columns accordingly. So let's zoom it back to 100. Modify the automation test script we did. We removed the hard-coded data from the script and then point to the data source. Point the scripts to the data source, script to the data source. Now is the number 7, run the automation test script. What will happen when we run it? Before we run it, let's understand the flow. Right now, we have 2 sets of data. During runtime, UFT will log in first using this credential, and then second iteration, UFT will log in using the second credential. So let's zoom it back and run it. Click the run button, run. So it completed the first login. Now it's logging second time. So it's done. So let's go to outline here. We're done with the part 7, number 7. Next is analyze the test result. So how are we going to analyze the results? Simple. It already generated for me. Because we have two data sets, so result shows two iterations, one for each. So let's open one at a time. Expand. This is for data driven. Let's just see the data step. Username right here. You can see retrieve the data from the table right here, AA. And then password, also retrieve the same data from here. So that's my first iteration. Let's collapse it. Expand the second iteration. And review the step for username. You can see it used correct data. For password, it also used correct data. This is it for today. Thank you so much for watching it. I hope you have some understanding of data-driven testing. In the next lesson, we will do the planning for data-driven testing. Thank you again for watching it. I hope to see you in the next lesson. Thank you again. Take care.